Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Noname back at it again with another Collab Giants video. And today, got a very special guest on here. One of my favorite Giants YouTubers. The thing I love about him the most is his live stream. He is currently undergoing some renovation, you could say, but you guys definitely know he is. KidBlue, welcome on. Thank you for coming, man.
Thank you so much. Noname, thank you so much. The Hub, I'm just excited to be here, man. Excited to be on this young channel. I love what you're doing here, man, and I just hope the best for you, man. But I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. And for the rest of the stream, you could just call me Kush. I think at this point, everybody knows me as Kush. Right. I'm not sure if I still introduce myself as Noname. I think it's like a habit because that's just my intro.
Yeah.
But guys, like I was saying, his channel is going under a little renovation. He might be the undrafted analyst, which is the name of his podcast that he had before. I want to give us a little bit more info on that.
The channel has been under some renovation right now. I'm trying to get it into a transition to a new, more broad type of channel, more professional, for lack of a better term. I have goals, that I've set, and I don't want to be confined to just making Giants content. It's still going to have the same content I have on there. It's just more broad NFL stuff. It's going to allow me to kind of have an audience of all different types of fandoms, and allow myself to have multiple type of content creators on a podcast or something like that. I just have a huge dream for the channel, and I feel like switching it to the undrafted analyst is definitely going to help with that. Instead of being KidBlue, it kind of just says Giants when you think of it. And, anybody coming across the channel and seeing that name is probably going to just think, oh, it's just Giants content. So that's why I wanted to kind of make it a general type of name. But yeah, man, it's gonna be coming soon. The undrafted analyst, that's pretty much what the channel is going to be called, other than KidBlue RB27. But obviously, everybody can still call me KidBlue or KB. I don't mind whatsoever. I'm not going to hide from my past or go Hollywood on you guys. But yeah, it's just a decision that I'm about to make, man. It was a hard decision, for sure. It was a hard decision, but yeah, I'm excited about the change, man.
The change is probably going to be for the better if we're being completely honest with each other. And guys, once again, if you haven't already, it will be down in the description. His channel, go subscribe. I'm sure you guys probably already are. Check out his Twitter and Instagram. You're going to want to stay updated with him, because I have noticed before you even really talked about switching to more general, he's been putting in work, y'all. He's been putting in work editing wise. Like a year ago, I think he didn't have really that sweet outro that he has now and the sweet effects that he has in his video. He's putting in work, y'all, so I expect some good things.
I'm learning. I just go on quick YouTube searches, and I took a couple of classes in high school with video editing and stuff like that. Very basic, but I'm just using what I've been taught and going from there.
I completely hear you, man. Like it's better for the channel and for the audience. So let's get into it. First topic first. How do you think the Big C, because apparently you can't mention it by name, or you're like the channel can't monetize or something like that. We'll call it the Flood for now. I don't know if you play Halo.
Yeah, Halo. The Flood.
All right, so we'll call it the Flood. How do you think the Flood is going to affect NFL season in general, or maybe even other sports seasons? Do you think it's going to be that much of an impact?
I really hope not, for the NFL's sake. Now, I'm more of an NFL fan, just 100% an NFL fan, but I do watch basketball, and I don't want it to affect basketball, but it seems like this season is not going to continue, the basketball season. So I don't know about the NBA, but you did tell me that earlier when we were talking, that the WWE actually had an event with no audience, right? No fans. Yeah, so I'm thinking that may be the first sporting event to do that. I hope the Flood doesn't last too long to affect the football season, but I can definitely see it affecting every other season, because they start, and they're happening right now. The NBA and college basketball, definitely, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, we're talking about college sports before we got on the air. Maybe you definitely have a little bit more knowledge on that than I do. what you were saying about college football.
I actually
even
was watching First Take today, and they were talking about somebody saying something like the athletic director from Notre Dame saying that he doesn't want to play football, something like that. He doesn't want to play football games with no fans. And I don't think it'll get to that point just because football is still a long ways away if we think about it. I mean, we're talking about, it's like in the fall. The preseason starts in August. If preseason has to be without fans, I don't care. And I don't think anybody's really getting hyped to go to a preseason game anyway. But as far as September and October goes, I think everything will be back to normal. I mean, as long as we just keep on our path now, we're supposed to hit a peak. The flood is supposed to hit a big peak in about a couple of days. Man, I think tomorrow starts the quote unquote peak. So that's going to last like 2 weeks, and then there's another 2 weeks of a grace period, basically, a calming period, and then they said another 2 weeks after that, it should die down. So I don't see why it should affect any other sports. I don't think it'll affect football, but as far as these other sports like basketball, I'm not too sure about baseball. I just don't know. I don't know anything about baseball, but it's definitely going to affect those sports if I'm being real. But those sports are kind of screwed. To be honest, kind of screwed. Yeah,
definitely. Like on the WWE thing, the reason they were able to do it is because they have matches which are like involve like 2-3 people. So they still fit under the legal limit that it is right now. And because it's pre-taped and all that, like if it comes to that, which I agree with you, I don't think it will for football and all that, it's going to be impossible to do that because just
that actually makes a lot. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't even think about that. It's just the whole 10 people. I think it went down to less than that, right?
Like something. That's crazy. People with 6 families can't even hang out now. I mean, 6 people in the family. But the only way I can see it affecting football is if it gets to like OTAs, spring training, off-season training. I
don't know if they're gonna have to, if the NFL or any type of sports organization is gonna have to get some sort of endorsement or waiver saying they're allowed to do that. Where I work at the post office, and we still have the same amount of people. In our office, we still have 40 people in our office. So I think it just depends on what the occupation is. I think maybe they can get some kind of waiver from the government saying, they could be around each other. Of course, they would have to all get tested. But
that would have to be one good argument on the NFL side, because unlike the post office, I think we both know they're not.
Exactly.
They're not essential.
Yeah,
so
they're essential for me. Damn it.
Hey, I agree with you there. But that's I guess like the only worry I have, because if it affects OTAs and all that, obviously it pushes the schedule back. Maybe they can compress it. Maybe it could get rid of the preseason in general. Which on one hand I wouldn't care. But on the other hand, I know the preseason does serve to finalize the roster and whatnot. So how would you feel? It would. How would you feel if OTAs are pushed back? Because then, in my opinion, inevitably the season would be pushed back.
I think in all reality, it probably depend on how long OTAs are pushed back. Because if anything, I think they would just shorten OTAs. It would suck for guys that need development or guys that just need a closer look to try to make this roster. It would definitely suck.
It would suck in general for the Giants because everybody's new.
That's a big problem. But just looking at it from the grand scheme of things, I don't think the NFL wants to push back the actual season. So I think their plan A would definitely be shorten OTAs and training camp and things like that to try to make the season on time. But if we're talking about months in delay, they're just going to probably delay the season as well as OTAs. In every situation possible, whether they push back the actual season or not, in every situation possible, I still see OTAs and training camp being shortened just to try to make the time, make up some time. They're going to try to do away with stuff that are non-essential, like training camp and stuff like that. And you're going to have to be like, hey, GMs, owners, sorry, tough it out. You're going to have to finalize your rosters quicker, and you're going to have make, harder decisions with certain prospects, but it is what it is. These are the times we're in, and just do it. I think that's what's going to happen there for the NFL side of things.
In that case, though, right? Like, let's kind of zero in on Giants for a second. Let's say that OTAs and the training camp, let's say it's shortened, worst case scenario, delayed. How do you think that really affects the team with a new coaching staff, but also second year quarterback and Daniel Jones? You know, everybody basically learning something new. I think it's going to
be a huge test of adversity. Definitely. If your team could come back from this with a new coaching staff, half of the roster is going to be new players or guys on their rookie deals. Crying out loud, our whole defense are on rookie deals. So this would be a huge test of adversity. If they can overcome that, I just see it more so as a test. If they could overcome that, they could pretty much overcome anything. This coaching staff, Joe Judge is going to have to put his money where his mouth is, really, because Joe Judge has some high expectations from us, and he's had such an impact with his press conferences and his coaching staff that he's hired, that I'm actually confident in him actually getting this done, even though the NFL has never seen something like this before in their history. I'm confident with what he's been saying to get this done and have everything back to normal and overcome adversity and help out this team. As far as Daniel Jones and the rest of the players are from the player standpoint, not so much the coaching standpoint, because I think they'll get it done. As far as the players go, it's really going to test out who's going to be, weed out the weak kind of situation there. Who's just the strongest survive. So if Daniel Jones can't overcome it, then he's not our guy. But as far as I can see right now, Daniel Jones, I don't think he's going to have a problem. Now, there are going to be guys that's going to struggle. Don't get me wrong. Guys that usually won't struggle are probably going to struggle as far as learning a new system quicker than they need to. There's probably going to be a lot of miscommunication. A lot of that is going to happen. I'm not going to hold the players to it too much, but at the same time, you got to overcome it. If you are the player you say you are, you got to overcome it. If Daniel Jones is the future, if he's our franchise quarterback, he just has to overcome it. I know it's unfair that other quarterbacks probably haven't been put in this situation before, new system, and having to learn it in a quicker amount of time while also trying not to catch the flood. It's a hard situation. It sucks, but there's nothing you can do about it. So you just got to overcome it, adapt, and move on.
You definitely have a harsher take than I do, but because you explained it, I can see where you're coming from, right? For me, I'm a bit lighter on them because even though I'm motivated by Judge, I still know in the back of my mind he's a first year head coach. So just, like you said, it's a situation that never happened before. You got to overcome it because everybody's going through it. But I feel like they do get a pass from me because it's, first year head coach. I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not to give DJ a pass because on one hand, he's going through his second year. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he's a veteran, yet at the same time, he is supposed to be that franchise QB. So I'm kind of torn. I want to give them a pass, but they should not get one because everybody's going through it.
That's why I said, they're going to struggle. We're going to see some bad plays during the season, some stuff that need to be cleaned up. That's obvious. But as far as, going later on in the season and, adapting, I think they'll be fine. And, either way, whether the flood was here or not, there has to be only 53 people on the roster. If you get a spot, well, I think it's more now because of the new contract.
I think that goes into play when the season itself extends, because the season is not extended yet. But what does go in play right now is the extended playoffs. 53
players or not. I mean, either way, if you're put on that squad, if you're one of those 53 guys, you got to put it all out there. It is what it is. It's not like it's just the Giants going through it. Everybody's looking for that Super Bowl ring. Everybody has to overcome adversity. You look at the Saints, you look at all the top tier, the 49ers, the Patriots, they got the same situation. If they're still at the top notch of their game, then it's hard to make an excuse. And I definitely see where you're coming from with the new system, Joe Judge. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You still got to do your job. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, there's a saying that fits it the most.
Exactly.
It is what it is. Before the flood got this bad, my expectations for the Giants were 7-win season at the most, right? I was like, I'll be happy if they get 6-7 wins. Now I'm not sure anymore because like everything's kind of thrown out of whack. What about you? Did your expectations get thrown out of whack, or are you once again just sort of holding that same mentality?
Definitely.
Like,
I mean, even before this whole thing happened, I knew there was going to be some changes, and maybe the players aren't going to be accustomed to, you know, having a new coach and a totally new coaching staff. You know, I had my expectations set high, like 7 wins, just like you, because of who Joe Judge is, and I think he's very respectable. So I have a high standard for him. As far as after this whole issue is going on right now, I definitely see this team not being as good as I thought they would. And that's not saying much because I don't really have high expectations for them as it is. But you know. Exactly. So I can definitely see, you know, them only getting 5 wins because of this issue, 4 or 5 wins. But, you know, at the same time, everybody's going through it. So I just hope he is the guy. I hope he is the guy that even in his first year, even with all these things happening and being put under a microscope on top of having to face a crisis, a worldly crisis, that he still overcomes and adapts and puts this team in the right direction. I mean, if he is successful, I'll tell you right now, Kush, if he is successful this year on top of everything that's going on, especially with changes to the NFL as well. I mean, they just added new they just added 7 teams per conference in the playoffs. If he overcomes all of these changes, I mean, he's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy. If he could still find a way to have a better record than we did last year, I already have such high expectation for him and aspirations for the future. And I'll be excited for the future if he somehow overcomes all of this with a second-year quarterback, a terrible but young and developing defense, and a poor offensive line, and a totally new coaching staff. You know, it's just the sky's the limit for this team if he somehow has a better record than last year.
I agree with you. If he has success, if we improve from last year and the perfect storm that this is, and he still overcomes it, I'm going to start comparing him to Coughlin because that was the last successful coach we had. I'm going to start saying, all right, Coughlin did it in his 3rd or 4th year. All right, Joe Judge, when are you going to do it? That's what I'm going to start doing because no normal coach overcomes what's about to go his way. But in terms of success, what would be successful for you this season? What would is it necessarily a winning record? Or is there something else to it?
Successful season. Well, on top of all of this, it has to be skewed just a little bit. So I had my goal right around 7 wins for Joe Judge because, even before this whole thing happening, I would think that he's making the team better. So I would say 2 or 3 more wins than last year. We went 4-12 last year. So, getting to 7 wins would be fantastic. That would be on the right, the right step. But now what I have to say is probably six wins. 6 wins. I would have to say 5. I don't know if I want to say 5 as a successful season. It's hard to say that. But at the same time, it's hard to put such high expectations on this team. So I want to say 6 wins, 6 to 7 wins would be a productive. I want to stay away from the successful but productive season for Joe Judge on top of all this going on. So 6 to 7 wins, I think, would be right around the mark where I would say, well, this team is in the right direction because we do have a tough schedule coming up. It's exactly
tougher schedules in the league this year, I think,
than last year. So I believe we face the NFC West and the AFC North. I mean, yes,
South.
Geez, I don't know. It's going to be a tough season, man. It's going to be a tough season for sure. But another telling sign of a successful season for Joe Judge would definitely be the defense needs to improve. I mean, he hired Patrick Graham, defensive coordinator out of Miami. Miami had a historically bad season on defense, so that was a risky move. So definitely it would be a successful season if the Giants some sort of way matured on defense. As you know, we have such a young defense. We have one of the youngest defenses in the league, and a lot of these guys may have stunted their development because of last year. I hope not, but if you can get them on the right direction, that's definitely a telling sign of a successful season. I definitely want to see, this is more of a Dave Gettleman thing, but I definitely want to see the offensive line improve, because how many years have we been saying to get this offensive line fixed? And it's just never, it's been put a Band-Aid over year after year after year. I want to see it improve this year, because it was off to the right start last year, but it just went down the drain. So I want to see that improve, and I want to see Daniel Jones make his mark in the NFL. He had a good rookie season, but I want to see him get to that next level. I want to see him crack that top 15 quarterback list. It's a high expectation, but if you're successing Eli Manning and you're the guy everybody says you are, I want to see that top 15 type of quarterback play from you this year. Again, this whole issue that's going on, the P word, the C word that's going on in the world, it's tough to say. It's tough to have high expectations and say you got to do this, you got to do that. But I mean, at the end of the day, as we said before, as I keep saying, it is what it is. You got to overcome. You got to overcome and keep competing, because at the same time, everybody's going through this this worldly crisis. So you got to make your mark, man. I want Daniel Jones to crack that top 15 quarterback ranking in the NFL right now. And, if he gets to that, that's successful, man. That's a successful year for Joe Judge.
You brought up literally like a truckload of points that we're going to get into eventually with the defense, the offense, Daniel Jones, Dave Bellman, all of them great points. For me, successful, right? I'm with you with what you said in the beginning. It's going to be hard to judge it. Like, we can't necessarily put the label on wins. We can't necessarily put it on how the players are. But what I'm going to be looking for is the one thing you brought up is progress, because I do believe the thing that you brought up, what you said you hope didn't happen with the defensive players' growth being stunted. I'm a firm believer that happened last year, just because I don't know. It just doesn't seem right based off of the rookies, at least on the defense, the year they had their rookie years in 2018, that in 2019, well, they literally nothing happened. They stayed the same. And in the case of like a dude like DJ Hill, they even regressed. You know what I'm saying? So I do believe that their growth was stunted. But what I'm looking for is improvement in the players and that they look prepared. Because I'm sure you saw it also. Like, my major complaint with the Giants last year was that they always look unprepared. They always look like they just came onto the field like just a bunch of random dudes and didn't know what they were doing. So I'm looking for the opposite of that in terms of success next year.
To call it a successful season is hard. So I would probably rather say a productive season. So instead of a successful season, because it's hard to really put that on them to say successful, because when you think of successful, you're thinking like 9-7, right? You're thinking of playoff race. I'm just looking for a productive season, man. I'm not willing to go all the way.
I mean, I will say, if Judge does overcome everything, man, is playoffs out of the question because of the new 17, like a 7-9 team could probably
it's
get into
not
the
out of the
playoffs with the new
question,
rules.
but yet I don't want to be one of those guys that say we're gonna make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely see, obviously another team in the mix always is going to help your chances to make the playoffs, whether you're a crappy team or not. But it's definitely going to be harder now that Tampa has Brady and they're going to be fighting for a wild card. But the NFC in general is getting a lot better. So we have a lot of competition in the NFC now. So it's definitely going to be harder. But Joe Judge just put that effect on us, man. Joe Judge, the way he came out there, the way his attitude is, it's such a breath of fresh air. You can't help but to think about the future. You can't help but to think, man, what if they do something next year? You know what I'm saying? And I'll never talk down on the Giants fan for having those type of hopes. I don't necessarily have them yet as far as playoff aspirations.
Oh yeah, I just want to put it out there. Neither do I.
But if they do it, more power to them, man. If they do it, if they overcome, like I said, this is a historical moment. Like, we're gonna remember this season when we're older, because and not even because of our team. If our team does something, then that's even better. But the situation, man. This worldly. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say the P word on YouTube, because I don't know if they'll do something with your channel there. But yeah, the flood.
Just keep it at the flood.
This whole flood going on right now. Everybody's gonna remember this. No matter what you're a fan of. So if they do something this year on top of everything, and I keep saying it, but yeah, on top of everything, this is a huge historical mark that it's leaving on the world. And if they overcome adversity, and this is probably the biggest test of adversity we've ever seen in the NFL, I mean, he's going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time in Giants history if he does that. If he does something.
Listen, I don't know if greatest coach of all time in Giants history, but he'll already be tossed into like the conversation for definitely greatest coach in the past 20 years or something like that.
Crown him as the best. Yeah, I'm not going to say crown him as the best because of Coughlin, Parcells, guys like that. I'm not going to say that yet, but he's definitely on the right track. You know what I'm saying? If he remains the coach for the next 10 years, let's say, or maybe even more than that, and I'll say even more than that. If he remains the coach for the next 10 plus years and he overcame this and had an 8-8 season or 9-7 season, making the playoffs.
Listen, if there's an 8 or 9-7 season, bro, I'm like throwing a party.
If he has a successful career, wins 2 Super Bowls with us, and makes a playoff race, doesn't even need to make the playoffs, but makes the playoff race and has a productive season on top of all this is going on in this historical season, he's going to be thrown in. That's going to go on his resume. This season is going to be thrown on his resume if he makes an 8-8 season or a 9-7 season out of all of this, and he's able to overcome better than these successful teams last year who probably didn't adjust. Maybe the Saints don't adjust to this, man, because Sean Payton caught the flood. So
yeah, he got it. I don't know if he recovered, but I remember seeing that he got it.
Recover. If the Packers don't recover, if the 49ers don't. Exactly.
If the Patriots, because the Patriots might even just be tanking no matter what the situation is.
Like talking about it from the NFC point of view, if these teams don't recover and the Giants find their way into the playoff race, that's definitely going on his resume, man. 10 plus years down the road, he's going to be looked at as not one of the better, greatest Giants coaches of all time, but possibly one of the greatest coaches of all time because of what he overcame in such a young career.
And for any people listening around, I was like, oh my God, these dudes are crazy, bro. They're talking all this hypotheticals. The thing I love about KidBlue is that he brought on the context. Context of the situation that he keeps saying on top of everything else that the Giants are facing, put on the world problem that they're facing and the sports world problem that they're facing. Context, guys, is what makes the story successful. But I can't even add on to what you just said because you brought up a great point. If we somehow, some way, are in the race for a playoff spot, which became a lot easier because of the 7 team, I think he's already up there for one of the best coaches in the NFL right now conversation. But let's kind of get away from that. The reason I brought up successful and the reason I like the fact that you debated why would we call it successful, the labeling itself, is because Dave Gettleman is technically on the hot seat, right? And of course, from Jay Glazer, probably one of the most reliable sources out there that came last week or a couple weeks ago. Gettleman said that he could turn the ship around and he had to prove himself to the Maras to keep his job, that he could turn the ship around and make it a successful season this year. And so that way they're going to keep him on even longer. So I brought up successful because Gettleman wants to have a successful season. We have no idea what his definition of that is. But do you think he's gone at the end of this year?
Repeat that question.
Do you think he's gone at the end of this year? Do you think he should be gone in general? Gettleman and
gotcha. Yeah, it cut off as soon as you formed the question. I was like, "What?" But it depends on how you look at it because there are a lot of Giants fans, and I don't know how this is really much of a debate, but a lot of Giants fans, and I'll even say it because I'm not throwing any shade at anybody, but OGR mentioned that this team is now just rebuilding, and there are a lot of Giants fans like me saying that we've been rebuilding, and OGR.
For me. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but for me, I think we started rebuilding in 2019.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Because in 2018, taking Saquon is not a rebuilding move.
I can see that.
But when you start taking Daniel Jones and also the moves they made in the 2019 season. That's just me. I think we started rebuilding in 2019 versus started rebuilding in 2018.
I can definitely see that, but my counterpoint to you would be, I think 2018 did start the rebuild. I just don't think Dave Gettleman saw the quarterback he wanted. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he liked the quarterback choices he had, but I can definitely see him because, you know, when he got hired, you know, we were changing everything around. We switched our defense around. We started getting some key pieces, especially on the offensive line with Will Hernandez, you know, some edge rushers in there, and he's been stockpiling up picks. He was trading away players. Remember, rebuilding doesn't mean just drafting guys. It means getting rid of guys. It means getting rid of guys. He got rid of Odell Beckham. He got rid of Damon Snacks Harrison. You know, he got rid of Olivier Vernon, and he just got rid of Janoris Jenkins.
Well, Odell Vernon the 2019 season, which is why I argue 2019.
But you could argue that too as well. But remember, he got rid of a lot of these guys on these contracts to try to rebuild something. And you could argue 2019 or 2018. I really don't see a difference. But if you guys want, if for the people that say that the rebuilding just started or the rebuilding started with Daniel Jones, then you can't fire Dave Gettleman. Why would you fire Dave Gettleman? Because people say you have a 3-year window before you're fired. It's not 3 years yet. You know what I'm saying?
It's rebuild. There is no set year on, and I agree with you completely. No matter when the rebuild started, it started within the past year to 2 years, which is very short. And we didn't even get our franchise QB until last year. So there's no way or no reason to fire him because there's no year limit on a rebuild. You know what I mean?
Dave Gettleman's job can't be on the hot seat. We have to look at it because people think, you know, Kush, people think things have to happen like a microwave, right? You put something in there, you wait 2 minutes, and boom, hot and ready, right? It doesn't work like that. If you fire Dave Gettleman while he is rebuilding, you're just going to hire another GM who wants to rebuild another way, and you just started from ground zero again. You can't keep cycling through guys. If we hire Dave Gettleman to rebuild, give him 5 years to at least make something happen. Some teams rebuild quicker than others. I understand that. It's all about with what you're dealt in the beginning. Dave Gettleman has to fix what Jerry Reese, you know, destroyed for the past 10 years or so.
Jerry Reese took, set on fire, put some TNT around it, and then drowned it in a river.
You can't expect Dave Gettleman to fix everything in 3 years. He can't be on the hot seat yet. He just can't. He's rebuilding. Let him rebuild, because if you fire Dave Gettleman, he's going to leave back the pieces that he rebuilt. You're going to get another GM in here. He's just going to knock it all down and rebuild again. And we have the cycle recycling over and over again, and you'll never have this team successful. At least let him finish rebuilding.
I agree.
Once he finishes rebuilding, if it's a terrible foundation, if it's bad, then you let him go and you rebuild again. But you cannot fire somebody when they're in the process of rebuilding, because you're going to screw up your team and you're going to screw over the GM who is going to take his place. It's just a terrible mindset.
I completely agree with you, especially because of that cycle, right? And this is why when the reports came out, and once again, Glazer being a reliable dude, I was shocked, because I'm like, if this is true, then my faith in Giants ownership really just went down the drain. If they're really thinking about getting rid of Gettleman because of what you said, he's not even in the middle of rebuilding yet. He just got finished with the starting phases. He just finally got rid of the terrible contracts that Reese left us with. He hasn't even started putting in his foundational pieces. I guess you could say he just cleaned the slate. That's all he finished. So when I heard those reports, I'm like, if this is true, man, my faith in ownership is gone because of exactly what you said. You cannot put a guy in the hot seat when he hasn't even left. He started the rebuild. He's not even in the middle of the year. He's not even, putting together a complete team yet. Like, we're at the very beginning in terms of gathering new players, in my opinion. So I'm like,
I'm sorry. Go on. Continue what you're saying.
Because I'm like, so if that's it, then ownership, there's a problem all the way at the top, which has been a point of argument and contention for a couple of years now as well.
I'm so glad that you brought up this topic because I've talked to Giants fans. I talk to Giants fans all the time, and I hear them say all the time that we just started a rebuild. But in the same breath, they're saying, "Well, Dave Gettleman has one more year before I want him on the hot seat." There's no logical sense. And a team you could compare that to is the Cleveland Browns. The reason why, Kush, the Cleveland Browns aren't successful, no matter who they bring in there. Look at their team now; it's garbage, and they have stars everywhere, offense and defense. It's garbage because they want everything in a microwave. They want to put their product in there, hold it for 2 years, and when they open back up the door, they want a hot and steamy season. They want just a succulent season, right? They want playoffs. Yeah, they want playoffs. They want Super Bowl, and they keep firing coaches. They keep firing GMs. I believe their owner's name is Jimmy Haslam, something like that, for the Cleveland Browns. He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. He'll fire a GM. He'll fire coaches after 1 or 2 years. You have to let these guys grow. And there were some mistakes, obvious mistakes, like hiring Hugh Jackson. He was a terrible coach.
Freddie Kitchens.
They kept Hugh Jackson longer than they should have. Maybe they were trying to give the guy a chance, but you have to let your guys grow, and that's not just talking about players, man. That's talking about GMs. That's talking about the coaching staff. Everybody has to adjust. Just because
everybody has to evolve.
Exactly. Just because these guys are coaches and they're trainers doesn't mean that they have all the answers. Let them figure it out. Let them build their team. Let them find a new scheme and have them grow together with the players. That's the only way you're going to make a successful franchise. Look at the Cleveland Browns, and I honestly, Kush, I could see the New York Giants turning into the Cleveland Browns. We're not there yet. We suck, but we're not there yet. But we're going to get to that point where ownership is going to want to bring back the good old days, the 90s, the 80s, and they're going to want to bring back the late 2000s. They're going to miss those seasons, and they're going to want to bring that back, and they're going to want to bring it back fast because, the Giants are just a high marketed organization. We are New York. We are Big Apple. We need to win now. And that's just, unfortunately, a terrible decision logically. And you're going to turn into the Cleveland Browns that way. I'm telling you right now, Cleveland wants to get back to who they were, in the 80s or 70s, whenever they were. Exactly. Before they've been chasing that pipe dream for years. You have to allow your franchise to develop. And, I could definitely see the Giants heading down that path. I don't want it to happen. But the Joe Judge signing was definitely a step in the right direction, if I say so myself. But I hope it doesn't end up that way, to end up like the Cleveland Browns. But I'll tell you right now, ownership, the way they're acting, they're learning from Cleveland.
I'm glad you brought up that ownership standpoint where it's like they're chasing a pipe dream, because I agree with you. I can see that happening. Once again, if this report is true, it's probably already in motion to happen. And I'd like to say again, when I talk about, and KidBlue brought up, everybody has to learn, not just the players. Gettleman, and I'm not the biggest fan of Gettleman. I know it might seem like that on my channel, but what I do is I try to rationalize him to people for the guys that want him to be fired immediately. Gettleman has changed and learned, especially in this offseason since he has been the Giants general manager, and that's a good sign, right? But another thing about a rebuild, it doesn't have a set time on it, 3-5 years, whatever. You obviously you don't want it to be more than 5 years, because then is it even a rebuild?
It's just wasting time.
Yeah, but at the same time, it also doesn't have a set, if you were to graph it, a set line, a set growth to it. There's going to be stumbles in rebuild. One year you're going to be progressing nicely. The next year there might be a stumble. That could be a combination of things. But maybe the year after that you get back on your feet. So that's what I'm saying. This year, if we stumble, right? If we stumble and we only get 6 wins or something, do not let Gettleman go. This is another reason to throw at it, in addition to everything that KidBlue brought up. But that ownership thing, man, if it's already in motion, the faith in ownership is already waning. The faith in ownership is going to be gone. For me.
It's right on. It's on the wire right now, man. For me, because they They want everything quick, man. They just want everything quick. And I understand why they fired Ben McAdoo. I understand why they fired Pat Shermer. I understand. Yeah,
of course. I
understand that. And, of course, I'll rationalize that. And these coaches didn't last very long. But I hope it was because of the reasons we are thinking and not because of the reasons that, the other reasons like, these two coaches didn't make the playoffs or whatever it is. It was just they were bad coaches. They weren't a great fit. I just hope
they weren't good as head coaches.
I just hope they're not looking at it as, oh, well, these guys were unsuccessful in, making a Super Bowl run. I don't want them to have that type of mindset, because if the ownership has that type of mindset and they're impatient, and impatient ownership is a terrible ownership. If you're not patient with your workers, if you're not patient with your team that you've put up, you'll never be successful.
Exactly. And it's like the worst situation an organization could be in, because they're the owners. They don't answer to anybody but themselves. So it's like, there's not going to be a change unless they sell the team. And then that's a whole other situation that's like, I can't even get into right now, because who would even buy the organization and all that? It's been in that family for so long. So it's like, it's probably the worst situation out there. And of course, I will agree with some guys in the audience that I know are going to say maybe we're overthinking it, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, yo. It's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so with all that negative thinking out of the way, let's move on, I guess, on a similar topic with Gelman, the offensive line. Now, in my opinion, and I'm sure you know this as well, since Gelman did step aboard, the offensive line has improved, which is hard to believe because it's still like ranked 20-something in the league. But before Gelman came on, it was the worst offensive line in the league. So it definitely improved. How far away do you think we are from being a nice, stable, good offensive line?
I want to say 2 years, because I think next year, you could argue 2 years. I would say, 2 years. 2 years. It's hard with this whole offseason thing. You're right in the middle. So after the season, after this season, I think the offensive line will be in a good state, because Nate Solder, I have a feeling we might cut him after this season. I don't think he's going anywhere this season. I just think there's too much money on the table of dead cap, and it's just going to be hard to get rid of the guy for the amount he's getting. So I think we'll have to wind up cutting the guy, and we're not going to cut him with all this dead cap that he has. So obviously, Dave Gettleman made a mistake getting Nate Solder, and I still rationalize his decision. Yet, obviously,
he was still. I agree with you. It was a bad decision, but to look on it objectively, he was still probably the best or second best.
Just what I was about to say. He had to overpay him because he was such a high value target. Because in free agency, you just don't see big name tackles on the market. Usually, these guys stay around the teams that they were drafted to. So you look at Nate Solder, yes, it was a bad decision, but did anyone think Nate Solder was going to be a terrible pick? I mean, you look at every YouTuber across the board, we were all excited that we got Nate Solder. We were ecstatic that we got Nate Solder on the left side. And you can't.
And to play devil's advocate for Solder, right? He did improve in the second half of 2019, which was last year. He, once again, I don't want to defend him too much because he's making the money that he's making. So I do have high expectations from him. But he was coming off of, I think, ankle surgery or something like that. And also he was facing many personal problems in his life with his child going through chemotherapy and all that. So he is still a person. I'm just trying to rationalize it. Once again, I don't want to defend him too much because he's making the amount of money that he's making.
But I didn't even know that with his daughter as well. And you look at the same situation with Eli Apple. Remember Eli Apple? He had this situation with his mom. I think his mom had some sort of disease. I think she had cancer, something like that. So that definitely affected his mental state as well. He was playing terribly, and I don't even think Eli Apple was terrible, but he had a terrible season last year.
Yo, hot take, or maybe it's not even a hot take, but Eli Apple is better than DeAndre Baker.
Oh yeah, that's not even. Yeah, that's a realistic take right there, man. I'll always say that. Eli Apple had a better rookie season than DeAndre Baker by far. And the fact that everybody is so reliant on DeAndre Baker getting better is hard for me to see, because you look at Eli Apple. Eli Apple had a better season. He never progressed, but Eli Apple was better. But, as far as Nate Solder goes, man.
And offensive line,
back to the offensive line. the tackle spot is still in need, and we may even address it early in the draft or the second round of the draft. I have my mock draft coming out soon for the Giants, but the tackle spot is the biggest need, but he fixed it up. He fixed it up in 1 year, in 2 years than Jerry Reese ever did. You know, he drafted Will Hernandez, which was a slam dunk. Yes, he's not, you know, a all pro guard like Marshall Yanda, but
for anybody that will say Hernandez didn't do well last year, I'm just gonna go out on a limb. 3 players' growth was stunted last year, so that's what I'm thinking. Like, if like, there's anybody that might say Hernandez regressed, like, let's be honest, the coaching staff last year was trash.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It was bad, man. And the play calling was terrible. So it's putting the offensive line in an uncomfortable situation. So Will Hernandez, I think, is a slam dunk. I loved Will Hernandez, the pick, just great. And the fact that we got Kevin Zeitler to trade him away for trade away Olivier Vernon for Kevin Zeitler was just one of the best trades I've seen that the Giants have ever made. We don't even make trades like that, but that's definitely one of the best trades we've ever made. He is a top guard.
People don't realize Zeitler is a top guard in the NFL.
People just don't think about that. People think the guard position is such an unsexy pick, you know, unsexy position. Nobody cares about it. Are you kidding me? I mean, Kevin Zeitler is a fantastic. He was the best offensive player that we had. Our interior is getting better. We may even address center this year in the draft as well as the tackle position. If we get that going and we have Kevin Zeitler, Will Hernandez, maybe Cesar Ruiz at the center position, and I don't know, a Tristan Wirfs or Jedrick Wills or Andrew Thomas, you name it, at one of those tackle spots, I get it. Nate Solder's terrible, but if you have 4 great offensive linemen and one bad guy, one bad offensive lineman, I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. You can't have all the 5 offensive linemen great all pro guys, you know.
This man, KidBlue, just keeps reaching into my mind and stealing my talking points, y'all. It's crazy. I was going to bring it up. Max, I was going to bring that up because you were saying maybe the offensive line is 2 years away. In my opinion, if they just take this draft and focus on it, it's 1 year away. Because Dave Stewart might be bad. I think if he recovers properly from the ankle surgery and if he mentally recovers, he could be average, which is good enough when, once again, you say you got 4 good to great offensive linemen right next to him, then the offensive line is fixed. If we go tackle first round even, and then go center second round, in my opinion, the line is fixed for the near future, right? You're going to need to replace Solder eventually, yes, and I think Zeitler could last on this team for like 5 more years because offensive linemen, they have one of the longest careers of any position in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely.
So it can even be 1 year away.
And I know people hate going into hypotheticals, but it can't happen. Let's say this. Let's say we get take your pick. I love Andrew Thomas, but a lot of people are saying he won't go number 4. Yeah.
Oh, I will say this. Andrew Thomas is my favorite offensive lineman. I don't get why he drops. But in terms of who the best offensive lineman is, I think it might be Wills because just because Wills is more technically sound than Thomas, but my favorite is Thomas.
Thomas is my favorite. I love his pass protection. I love what he does in the run game. But Jedrick Wills is probably the safest out of the guys. If you're going to go number 4, if you're at 8 or 9 or 10, then Andrew Thomas is a slam dunk. But if you're at 4, I would say pull the trigger on Wills because he's more technically sound. He comes from a great college culture, and to come into the NFL out of Alabama is already a step in the right direction. And Wills is great, but let's just say let's throw Wills in there, okay? Let's say we draft Wills, and then in the second round, Dave Gettleman says, you know what? I want to get this offensive line great. I want to protect my quarterback. Let's get Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan at center. And it's a possibility.
Do you think he's going to be available at 36?
The Giants may just creep back up at the end of the late first round. Seattle loves trading down. They love getting out the first round for whatever reason. They do it almost every year. So I'd say do it with them or Baltimore. What's that? New England too. So a lot of these late first rounders might do that. The Giants can sneak back in and get Cesar Ruiz. If we get Wills and Ruiz, that is 2 out of the 3 positions that need fixing. And let's just say, hypotheticals, Kush. I know people hate it, but I don't care. Hypotheticals. Nate Solder comes back and has at least an average season. At least an average season. And not even at his potential, because he was good in New England. Let's just say average. We have a dominant offensive line right there. Exactly.
That is a dominant offensive line. And imagine what that does for your quarterback in his second year, who just already, quarterbacks in their second year usually take a jump. Now he has a way better offensive line compared to what he's usually used to on the college level and pro level. And imagine how to help out Saquon.
Say what you want about his head coaching days, but I think he's a much better play caller than Pat Shurmur would have been,
If there was one thing that I absolutely loved about the Jason Garrett signing as an offensive coordinator, is that he knows how to use the offensive line and knows that it is important.
Is about to get insane. We're actually going to be able to roll out with Daniel Jones. I mean, we never rolled out with Daniel Jones. It was like once or twice every game, but every time we did it, we were always successful. If you look at the Cowboys for the past couple of years, even with Romo there, they always were doing play action rollouts. They were always running the ball. They always focused on the run game, and I love the Jason Garrett signing. It's going to be awkward and weird seeing him on TV, or maybe if I go to a game and seeing him wear a Giants shirt and on our sideline. But I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
And I think Bad Dog brought it up. He said that first game, Daniel Jones was being himself when he was doing the rollouts and all that, and every game afterwards, Daniel Jones was being Pat Shurmur's quarterback. I agree with you. I think Jason Garrett is going to definitely, teach him things and let him learn under Garrett's system, but also just let him be himself like we saw in that Tampa game.
Let him get out the pocket. No, he's not the most athletic quarterback you've ever seen, but the guy can move. That guy can get out the pocket. He's not afraid of contact. He's a gunslinger, and not a terrible gunslinger like, just throwing the ball wherever. He just wants to push the ball down the field. He's fearless like Eli was in his young career, younger in his career. And Daniel Jones has everything that it takes to be a great quarterback. Allow the coach to let Daniel Jones be Daniel Jones.
And once again, with the Garrett system using running backs, Saquon is going to be in this hypothetical universe. Saquon would be a MVP conversation without doubt.
And a guy like Jedrick Wills on the right side, where obviously is more of a running side of the offensive line. We had Jedrick Wills on that right side. Oh my God! I mean, there's no telling what this offensive line could accomplish as far as the passing game and the running game goes.
Exactly, and it brings me, as much as I love this hypothetical universe, we have to switch to another one now. If the Giants go defense in the draft, and notice how we have 2 different hypotheticals because of the amount of needs the Giants have. Going back to our earlier conversation, guys, the rebuild doesn't take 1 year, so you can't fire Gelman just throwing a call back. We have too many needs. Well, let's get into the defense. Well,
so if we
what's your hypothetical
defense,
situation
now,
if we try to fix up the
for everybody
defense
listening, I highly doubt that Dave Gettleman in the first 2 rounds just goes defense because of the offensive line issue, right? The only offensive players I see going in the first 2 rounds for Dave Gettleman taking is offensive linemen. I don't see him getting a wide receiver or a tight end or anything else. So if we don't go tackle, it's going to be kind of awkward, or center, it's going to be kind of awkward, but let's just hypotheticals. Let's just say we all go defense here. Isaiah Simmons is obviously going to be the guy at number 4. And defense, I imagine an edge rusher. I think corners, as far as corners go, they need to develop. I don't really want to draft any more corners because DeAndre Baker needs to develop. You have Julian Love there. You have Corey Ballentine there.
I don't see us going to secondary in general unless they want a free safety. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I think
I can agree with you. We could ignore secondary for now.
In the first 2 rounds. I don't even think we get a guy. If Del Pitt were to fall to us, or Xavier McKinney were to fall to us in the second round, that's not going to happen. But if it does, I still think the Giants go away from that. But hypotheticals for the defense, man. It's hard to say because these hypotheticals are just.
All right, I'll make it a little bit easier for you because I agree with you. I don't think he'll go defense completely in the first 2 rounds. How about this? And I'm a strong believer in this. If we do trade down, I believe Gelman is going to go more defense than offense. So let's say we trade down with a team like Oakland or the Jaguars, yeah, or maybe even just trade down with just a trade down in general. Then I think we'd probably go defense for the first 2 picks. So give me a trade down scenario where you can see that happening, and what defensive players you would go.
If we miss out on Isaiah Simmons, if we want to go defense, if we're looking at Isaiah Simmons hard in the 4, at number 4, or maybe we just don't want Isaiah Simmons. If we trade down to 12 with Oakland, I think we will take Collab Chaisson, the edge rusher out of LSU. I think that would be a great pick there, and that really fixes the edge rusher position. And
now, you could argue
there is
that
argument to be made there, but at the same time,
there's an argument to be made there.
Teams, if they have nothing else to draft, they're just going to draft an edge rusher. They're just going to draft, a top tier edge rusher because you can never have enough edge rushers. You know what I'm saying? So I could see him falling to 19, but I wouldn't take that chance. If we fall down to 12, you take Collab Chaisson and you have the best edge rusher on the team right there. No more drafting 3rd round, 4th round guys and just keep stockpiling up the defense with 3rd round, 4th round edge rushers.
Yo, did you?
No, I didn't see
This
that.
is funny. Did you see my state of the New York Giants pass rush video? That's exactly what I was saying. I was like, I was literally like, we cannot keep taking edge rushers in the 3rd round and 4th round because there's a slight chance that they work out, but we've done it the past 2 years, and once again, it's just a very slight chance. If you're gonna go edge rusher, do it in the first. I was saying the same thing,
You have to
bro.
get a 1st round pick in order to have a surefire edge rusher. A number 1 edge rusher. When we drafted O'Shane Ximines, I was happy about it, but at the same time, I'm like, well, we're literally matching average talent with average talent. You know what I'm saying? We're not upgrading the position. We're just filling a hole. So if we're going to go edge rusher, you better get an edge rusher that fell to the 3rd round and he's a steal, or just don't freaking get one at all, man. Because you got Kyler Fackrell, you got O'Shane Ximines, you got Lorenzo Carter. Yeah, it's another average guy.
And if you take somebody in the 3rd or 4th round, are they really going to be better than any of those guys?
Past 3 drafts, if we get another 3rd round, 4th round edge rusher, these past 3 drafts, you basically done nothing to the edge rusher position, but just filled the guys that are just as talented as the guys you already have. So that's one thing I didn't understand with Dave Gettleman. We need to get a top tier edge rusher. We got rid of JPP. We got rid of Olivier Vernon. They were top tier, if you really want to say top tier, Olivier Vernon, but they were top tier as far as how they were getting paid. Exactly. So you got to match that. You got to.
They were top tier for the Giants.
Don't match that. I don't know what he's going to do.
So I completely agree with you on the edge rusher part. So if we do go Caleb with 12, where are you going with 19? Because once again, like I said, I think if we trade 19, down, then I could believe we take defense with the first 2 picks.
I would say Kenneth Murray, Patrick Queen. Yeah, I'd probably go inside linebacker because I was going to say, are you going like a linebacker? I hate that Blake Martinez signing. I don't like it. I did my film on him, and the guy just he's a cleanup tackler. Like, I wouldn't mind if we grabbed him for less than 10 million because 10 million is top inside linebacker money. If we grabbed him for 6, 7 million, I'd be happy. I'm like, hey, that's a bargain. This guy is cleans up tackles everywhere. That's fine. But when you pay a guy $10 million, that's telling me that you're not interested in another linebacker. You're not interested, and then you still have Ryan Connolly. You still got, I believe we still have Tay Davis. We just signed David Mayo. Mm-hmm.
The way I would argue against Connolly, the argument I would put against Connolly is that we only saw him for like literally 2 games, and we might be overhyping him. That's my argument. I'm not saying that's what I believe, but that's the argument I could put against Connolly.
Injury issues, but Ryan Connolly was great in his 3 games. I'm not going to go out in here and say that he's our next Luke Kuechly because of those 2 games or 3 games that he was playing. But when you sign a linebacker for $10 million a year, that's telling me he's your number 1 linebacker. You know what I'm saying? So that means he's going to be on the field all the time. This guy has the worst. I mean, one of the worst. Not. I'm not going to say the worst because I put out that video and I thought he was aware in coverage, but just couldn't get there in time. Didn't have the athletic ability to get there in time, and that's going to be an issue, man. Because the middle of the field is our biggest weakness on the field, and I don't think he upgraded that. I think that's 10 minutes. You know.
Here's what I will say as a counter argument to that, because while I don't love the Martinez signing, I do like it. My counter argument, at least towards the being a cleanup tackler type of player, right? What I would say is that you just don't stumble into like 144 tackles every year, even if you're a cleanup tackler. But also, he was kind of forced to be that on a Green Bay defense that was terrible at tackling. Even when they got the Smith brothers, who were just there for pass rush, they were not good at run defense. So I will say he was kind of forced to do that. And you could definitely put an argument back saying that this is just a hypothetical, but I think that because we have a defensive line that can actually tackle somewhat, it is the stronger part of our defense, that he wouldn't be forced to be that guy
Very
anymore.
true.
And maybe he'll show us something that we didn't see before. That's my counter argument.
You're not going to hear me complain at all. You know, if we signed a guy that I'm initially not happy with and he plays to his contract, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? But as far as what I'm seeing now, he just wasn't worth the $10 million, and you know, I would have much rather gotten a Corey Littleton. But what if we got Blake Martinez as that run stuffing guy? We pay him $10 million and not went after Corey Littleton because the Giants want Isaiah Simmons. You know, there is always that sort of argument, and that really gets your head.
I can see that happening.
Because I don't think Dave Gettleman is not stupid. You know, he's not going to sign he re-signed David Mayo, who's a run stopper. Ryan Connolly is more of a run stopper. Blake Martinez is the run stopper. You only have run stoppers at the inside linebacker position. I think Tay Davis is still there. He's a coverage guy, but he's not fantastic. But that may leave room for Isaiah Simmons.
I know I argued against Conley just now, but for what you just brought up, I guess I'll argue for him. Just because we haven't seen him that much. Maybe he has more pass coverage skills than we don't.
I believe it was a Tampa game when I watched film, and I was actually surprised by his coverage. Oh, he had.
I think it was the Redskins. Was it in the Redskins game or something? He had an interception, or almost had an interception,
or was it with the Redskins? I don't know, but he has some cover skills. He showed it with the Redskins, and I believe in Tampa, I seen one play in particular where he guarded OJ Howard all the way down the field when he was in cover 2. He has more coverage than we think.
So yeah, I agree with you there. I could see us going linebacker because, like you said, Gelman isn't stupid, and even if he was, I guess for argument's sake, man was exposed to the best middle linebacker in the league for years over at Carolina, so he knows what it takes to be successful at that position. So I could see them coming into the draft with the mindset of we're either going to take Simmons at 4 or trade down and get somebody like a Queen later down the line. Because while I do think Kenneth Murray is the better overall middle linebacker, Queen has better coverage skills.
You'll get a good linebacker. You know what I'm saying? So whether you get Murray, whether you get Queen, I don't really care. If we go at 19 and get one of those guys, there's always the argument of Xavier McKinney. That's fine. Free safety at 19, that may be a little bit of a reach, just because I see McKinney going into the late 20s. But for sure,
I think McKinney is my best safety in this class. I literally a couple hours ago I put out my top 5 safeties list. Exactly. He's my best safety in the class, but safeties in general are not going to. I don't see any team valuing them that high. Something like that. He's just all over the field. He's a hard hitter, and he's a coverage guy. You look at Dante Savage last year. Unless he's one of these guys, then you can go high for a safety. But I'm not really looking at safety. I'm saying I need this guy because we still have Jabril Peppers. We just need someone to match with him. But the inside linebacker position is screaming for talent. Screaming. Heard you. So we said if the offensive line was fixed, the offense knows no bounds. Now, in this position where we fix the defense, does the defense know no bounds, or is it going to take more time for them to gel?
Like, you look at the offensive side of the football, you have a lot of experienced guys in there. The offensive line is pretty experienced. You got Nate Solder, Kevin Zeitler. Like I said, you don't know who's going to be the center or the right tackle. May even be just Cam Fleming, who is a veteran. So it's definitely going to take. It's going to be faster for a transition for the offensive line. But the defense, you're looking at almost every single position is young, developmental talent. So, oh my.
Who is the oldest person on our defense?
Yeah.
I don't count Antoine Bethea because I still don't understand why they kept him even though his contract is cheap. Forget he exists. Who's the oldest player in our defense? Did we?
Yeah, I think he had a.
Like, you see, now, like that's like one of those small moves where I don't even like
exercise it.
Oh
my God!
Wouldn't it be?
As far as starting,
it would be Leonard Williams,
guys. Maybe we got some older talent.
Can you imagine that? No. Would it?
No, he's a free agent.
Would it?
Man,
because is Golden? Well, Golden isn't on the team
because Leonard Williams just got off of his 5-year.
It has to be Leonard Williams, right? Yeah. And he is the veteran on our team right now. That's another thing I don't think people realize. Like, the team is so young, and I get where they're going, but I think they're focusing too much on age. Like, it doesn't hurt to bring in a couple veterans. That dumbfounded
me. Just Leonard Williams is the most experienced guy on our team. So, yeah, the defense is going to take some time to gel together. Now, I do have confidence in them, but I do want to assure everybody it's going to take time. It's going to take time for the defense really hits its stride. Now, maybe we just strike gold and Patrick Graham just does with these players, in his way and everything works out. That's always something to think about, and it's always a possibility. But realistically speaking, there's just not enough veteran talent to really mentor these young guys.
It's not plausible. So then this is what I was kind of building to, and I think you might have seen it coming, because the defense might take more time. And because of the importance of a Daniel Jones being a franchise quarterback, would you say that going offense is more important because it will also show more results earlier on? Talent
at the defensive position, and there's, like you said, the most veteran guy is Leonard Williams. If you draft a developmental defensive player, you shouldn't do that. Don't draft unless he's a home run guy like Isaiah Simmons or something like that. Exactly. Do not get these developmental guys because they're going to be learning with guys that are learning too. So, that was a great point there. Offense is definitely the more important position to draft higher because you have veteran guys to mentor them, not just the coaches. You ask, everybody says it. When you talk to players and you see interviews, they're always saying they learn more from their teammates, more so than their coaches, because their teammates are on the field as well, showing the example. Exactly, they're living that life that you're living.
Their teammates are the ones going through it with them,
and you're trying to be as good as them. So, there's a lot of veterans to learn from. You look at Daniel Jones. He has Colt McCoy to learn from instead of Alex Tanney, and Daniel Jones even said it. Alex Tanney was a vital part of his rookie season in developing. So I definitely think getting an offensive guy early in the rounds it's just going to be monumental for the offense in general.
The team in general. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's about it. I do want to talk more, but we already went for like over an hour. I love it. Was great. I think we covered a lot more than I expected to anyway, because if I'm being honest with you, that last point towards the end, I didn't even realize I was building to that until I said it, where it's like, because of this and that, the offense would be more important. So it was a great talk, man. I'd love to either have you on again soon or even come on to yours and continue this.
That you're telling me about, man. I might have to do something with that as well.
Yeah, it's like a free app. Like, the thing is, though, the one problem with it is that the person who's hosting has to be on mobile, because that's how you get the invitation link. They didn't develop it where the invitation link appears on computer.
Gotcha.
So if you're hosting, you have to do it on their app. But then, like, I could come on my computer because I have the link now. But yeah, man. Once again, man, thank you for coming on, KidBlue. Stupendous conversation, guys. Go down in the description and check him out, especially since he will be going broad NFL soon. Don't worry, he's still got
not
the
too much,
covered.
Man. I'm just excited. Thank you for having me on, man. This is a fantastic conversation, man. This definitely helped me a lot, man. It had me thinking. This conversation definitely had me thinking. Hopefully, it had you guys thinking as well that are listening in. But yeah, thank you for having me on, man. I definitely look forward to doing this type of thing again.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Put your comments down below. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Until next time, I'm out. Yeah.